Hello, my creepy crawlies, and welcome back. We are officially at the beginning of the year, and I feel like it's already been a shit show. How about the rest of you? I'm kind of feeling that. With that said, I'm going to bring in my lovely hostesses. First up is Magda.
Hello, it's lovely to see everyone again today.
Hello, how are you?
Well,
Not
thank you.
good, good. And I'm going to go ahead and bring in Kat as well.
Hi.
Hi,
Good
how
to
Hello,
are
see you,
lovely.
you?
ladies. How are y'all?
I am
Speaking
I'm doing great.
good. Yeah, I just want to say the shit show has been continuing this year, and if
Oh
y'all
my
saw last
gosh.
week's show, say no more.
Hey, at least the whole rig didn't fall off like the previous show. My computer fell off of the table, completely shut down. Our poor Santa Claus was sitting there going, "What just happened?" In case you noticed, we do have a queen missing this evening, and
Mhm.
Lauren is not able to be with us, but we will have a fun show nonetheless, and I am sure she will be watching and chatting along. But okay, so horror news. We've had a lot of stuff going on this week. And first of all, I don't think I can let this week get by and not pay our respects and our condolences to the family of Meatloaf. Um,
Mm.
so
Yep.
cheers and
Cheers.
mhm. um, I don't know how many of you grew up on Meatloaf, but I mean, he was a staple from high school on. He was constantly in my musical rotation, and
Mhm.
then his acting chops were just incredible. I never dreamed that he would be as prolific as an actor as he was.
I have to say that my first example of anything with Meatloaf was actually the Rocky Horror Picture Show. I
Yes,
did the shadow
true.
cast when I was a teenager. Of course, I was magenta, obviously.
Obviously, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Well, you know,
As you do.
As you do.
I think I remember him from music in the 90s. And there was that song, oh God, what was it? It was played all the time, and it was like, but I won't do that. And we were all like, what the hell is he talking about? Like, won't do what?
What is the one thing you won't do? I would do
So
anything
that
for
one, that's
love,
the one.
but I
Yes,
won't
yes.
do. What is your one
What
thing, Meatloaf? What was
what
your
was
one thing?
it is like a mystery that has never been solved, and we don't know what that is referring to.
True. True. Now, also, I don't know if any of you guys are Dexter fans. All of the Dexter fans got really excited this year because First Blood. And we were thinking that we're going to get the ending to the Dexter series that we deserve. I'm
I
so
don't think I've
sad.
followed it. I don't think I have not seen Dexter in years, so I've lost track of all that.
I've only
Okay.
seen the first episode of the new series. I haven't seen the entire
Oh,
thing yet.
I'm not going to share.
She's
I'm not
already
going to spoil it.
spoiler alerting it for everybody.
But I don't know. I mean, the ending for
No, you're good.
the first series was bad enough, so I don't know. Can it
Yes.
get worse? If it gets worse, I don't know. I might be too depressed to watch the entire thing.
I don't know how I
Donna,
feel.
the look on your face. Sorry.
I don't know how I feel
Well,
about this. I mean, it's like you have okay, so you have the god awful ending that was the first series, and then you have the second pickup. I mean, basically, it went through years, and so they decided they were going to give Dexter the send off it deserved, and wow, they did send it off. I'm not going to say anymore. Fans were depressed. Fans were sad. Yeah, we're just gonna leave it at that. Is that giving away too much?
No.
I don't think so. I don't think you've said what's
Okay.
happened, so you're okay.
Okay. And then, of course, the next big thing that we are chomping at the bit to see at our house is Scream 5. This
Mm.
is the this is the season, I guess, to come back around and remake and and reflesh out some horror movies and some horror shows and stuff like that, and get those finalized. And so, yes, Scream 5 was just released, and we are very anxious to see it, and
Who
rightfully
wrote
so.
that one? Who's
Let me look.
Because
That's all.
wasn't it originally like a Wes Craven?
I thought it was.
So somebody else has taken it and ran with it. That's what I thought, but I could be totally off. I don't know. If you know the answer, you can chime in below and keep us
James
straight here.
Vanderbilt.
Okay.
Okay.
Right then.
So, I mean, flesh blood, always good. We like new blood. We like flesh blood. We like fresh blood. However, I have also seen, and I don't know if this is meant to be a meme, but I have also seen, like, I Still Know What You Did, talking about possibly rehashing the I Know What You Did Last Summer series and kind of bringing it up to date. And although I know that was a TV series on MTV at one point, or was it on MTV? But so I don't know.
I don't
Maybe,
know.
maybe not. All right. Without further ado, let's bring in Sawyer Saint Sin. If I can make my computer work.
Where's she at? There she is.
Ta-da!
Oh, lovely.
Hello.
Hello, ladies.
Hello, how are you doing?
I am wonderful. I feel like so weird being on the this side now since I'm usually just like typing like, "Hey, oh my god, I love you guys." So it's weird to be on camera now.
Oh, sure. So we are supposed to be joined by another this evening, and I take it that he hasn't made it in as of yet, but we'll just plug along without him, and when he decides to join us, he's more than welcome to jump in. Hey, quick thing, Magda, I just realized that we completely bypassed the musing last week or the last time for the female of the species. And if it would be okay, I would love to play that now. Do we have a moment?
Of course.
Okay. Are you okay with that, Sawyer?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Give me just a minute.
The Female of the Species by Rudyard Kipling. When the Himalayan peasant meets the he-bear in his pride, he shouts to scare the monster, who will often turn aside. But the she-bear thus accosted rends the peasant tooth and nail, for the female of the species is more deadly than the male. When Nag the basking cobra hears the careless foot of man, he will sometimes wriggle sideways and avoid it if he can. But his mate makes no such motion where she camps beside the trail, for the female of the species is more deadly than the male. When the early Jesuit fathers preached to Hurons and Choctaws, they prayed to be delivered from the vengeance of the squaws. 'Twas the women, not the warriors, turned these stark enthusiasts pale, for the female of the species is more deadly than the male. She is wedded to convictions, in default of grosser ties. Her contentions are her children. Heaven help him who denies. He will meet no suave discussion, but the instant, white-hot wild, wakened female of the species, warring for spouse and child. Unprovoked and awful charges, even so the she-bear fights. Speech that drips, corrodes, and poisons, even so the cobra bites. Scientific vivisection of one nerve till it is raw, and the victim writhes in anguish, like the Jesuit with the squaw. So it comes that man, the coward, when he gathers to confer with his fellow braves in council, dare not leave a place for her. Where at war with life and conscience he uplifts his erring hands to some god of abstract justice which no woman understands. And man knows it, knows moreover that the women that God gave him must command but not govern, shall enthrall but not enslave him. And she knows, because she warns him, and her instincts never fail, that the female of the species is more deadly than the male.
Woo!
Wow. Yeah, our
It's a good
show. I'm sorry?
It's a good poem.
It is a great poem. It's interesting when I saw that, I knew it was a poem, but of course the first thing that went through my head was the song from the is it called the band was named Space from like the late 70s, early 80s. And of course, the entire time I'm like sitting there, the female of the species is deadlier than the male. So yes, that was totally me. Totally me.
I kept seeing the image of the Black Widow and how many times I've gone near the water hose or down in the where you check your water meter, like shut the water off at the street and you have to reach your hand in there to open it, and how many times you see one down in there. So
You're like, I'm not gonna put my hand down there. But oddly enough, the creature that we find the most gentle, being the praying mantis, is the most deadly female species of all. I mean,
those
yeah,
are neat. I
they're
would never
beautiful.
thought.
They're beautiful creatures, but they like to rip off their mates' heads while having sex and eat it.
Well,
Very, very deadly.
Don't we all? So just kind of while we're getting warmed up, just so you know, you can interact with us at Ice Cream Queens. If you're on YouTube or Facebook, you can leave us a comment. You can chat with us. Also, if you have a chance and you haven't looked at our YouTube page already, you can do that. This is kind of where we house all of our things like Magda's musings and anything additional like cooking videos that we do. So in addition to the show, you can actually see some of that. And I wanted to take a moment because we do have some comments already. So let's see what's going on. So Rachel
Always nice.
says, I love this. Tabitha says, ooh, tingles.
That's got to be for Magda.
I really feel that is.
Mr. Fish says, wow, what a reading. Great poem. That is a high compliment from him.
We love Mr. Fish.
We do love Mr. Fish. And good old Eli, people already have Black Widow as pets. Not saying that we don't.
No, thank you.
I don't want that in my house.
No,
No.
not on purpose anyway.
No. Mm-mm. I feel like that's just asking for trouble.
So Sawyer, take a moment and tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us, let's hear the elevator pitch. You got 5 minutes to tell us about who you are and how you came to be what you are today.
Well, so I mean, probably like everybody, I started watching horror movies when I was like 5 with Nightmare on Elm Street. We actually lived on Elm Street when my mom let me watch it. That was terrifying. But I also do, along with doing horror host, I do burlesque and cosplay, and a lot of that is tied in really closely with my horror show now. I started it about a year ago, mainly because I was missing being live on stage and performing in front of people. So I needed another outlet to get out there and have my creative brain released into some fashion. And so every so often I pair burlesque acts to whatever movie I'm watching that week, whatever floats my boat, or is suggested by my husband for us to watch. And I like to tie everything together into a neat little package and just be like, here, world.
Here, watch us.
I'm having trouble with this headphone.
Oh, that's okay.
You're having a week like I had last week with that.
I always have technical difficulties on this show.
I have such tiny ears that like every single headphone just like does not, like any earbuds don't want to stay in my tiny little ear holes.
So obviously a few of us know that your name is not Sawyer St. Sin, and we're not going to give away your real name. So how did your character come into creation? What was the inspiration and how has it originated since you're the first version?
I mean, so I played with a lot of different kind of like last names before I came upon Saint Sin. To be honest, I really don't know how I really nailed that one down because I'm very indecisive. But Sawyer comes from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The family's family name is Sawyer. And that's always been one of my standout films for me. I kind of have a soft spot in my heart for Leatherface because the family treats him so terrible and so horrible. And I feel like if he just had some love, that maybe he wouldn't be a complete and utter maniac and kill people and wear their faces.
Wait a
But
minute.
like,
Wait a minute. Are you
I'm just saying that I'm sympathetic to him and his
are you
problem.
saying if Leatherhead was just loved a little more that he might not be a serial killer?
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, it's that whole thing of like nurture versus nature. I mean, everyone else is kind of like psycho in his family, but if he was just placed into a different area, maybe things would have turned out differently.
Maybe he would be marrying material after all.
Who knows? Who knows? See, these are the things that keep me awake at night.
Oh no, we understand a little bit more now. Everybody take a swig, we're good. So what was the first horror movie you ever saw?
It was Nightmare on Elm Street and followed closely by Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Oh, the one with Gary Oldman?
Yes.
That's a great movie.
Well,
so
the range
what
of
was
Gary Oldman, first off, is ridiculous in itself. But then to have him as Dracula, my heart just melted.
Oh no, I agree. Maybe have Mel Brooks direct Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Love is the only thing that can save this poor creature. Thanks, Eli. Is he gonna sing "Putting on the Ritz" next?
There must be a musical in that. There must be a musical scene. It's
I was going to say, it has to be.
I'm feeling it. So, okay, so we've heard what your first horror movie is, and I think we are safe to say we can guess what your favorite is. I don't know. Is it not Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
I mean, it is. It's probably like my second favorite. But I actually came across a movie that I had never heard of before. When me and my husband started dating, actually. It's a Hammer film called Twins of Evil.
I love Hammer films.
And
love them.
I watched Twins of Evil, and then I went back and fell in love with a bunch of other things that Hammer has done. But Twins of Evil and Count Karnstein in that movie is just to die for. I absolutely love it.
Family turns people into barbecue.
Hang on. But sure.
Okay, I guess.
Oh,
I mean, what else are you gonna do when the slaughterhouse and gets shut down? You gotta have meat somehow, right? I don't know.
Oh no, sorry. That just brought to mind a very bad, horrible film from the 80s. Hotel Hell.
Oh, that movie.
The meat comment made me think of that. It's like, oh no.
I don't think I saw that one.
Oh, it's horrid. It's worth watching because it's bad. It is so bad.
I love the bad ones. That's like a special place in my heart. If they're terrible, those are the ones I like.
It borders on comedy. It's so over the top and
Yes.
ridiculous that it's worth watching. I mean, I'm glad I watched it. It's just horrible,
Kat, you would also love the movie that
There
I
we go.
just talked about
Eli
last
says
night.
it. Eli says it. That's
Which
the
movie
line
is
from
that?
the movie. That's the line from the movie. Meat's meat and the man's
Kat,
gonna eat.
it's called The Suckling.
The what?
The
Suckling?
Suckling?
Yes.
Is it is it older?
It's 1990. But listen. So we have it starts off in a brothel / illegal abortion clinic. And so you can only imagine just how terrible the writing is from there. That's all that I have to say.
Okay.
It goes.
So it starts at rock bottom and it.
And then by the end, you're like, it has everything in it. What is this thing, and who made this? And it like literally has no stars that you have ever heard of ever before in your life by a director you've never heard of in your life. And you're kind of like, okay, now I can see why.
But you have to think about it this way, though. But now when you see something like that and you're like, it's not a star who's famous, but in my mind, like when I see stuff like that, I think of like, that's somebody's grandfather, like that somebody,
Right.
like that person is still a person somewhere out in the world. And you're like, grandpa's going to be like, hey, y'all want to see a movie I made back in like 19...
No, Grandpa, we don't want to see that movie. Put your wang
Right.
away.
not
Like,
the kind, not the
that
kind
movie.
that's, as long as all your clothes are on, Grandpa, we're good. We can watch it. But yes.
But every movie that starts out as somebody's baby, as somebody's brainchild, and they don't go into it going, hey, I don't know. There may be a handful that go into it going, hey, I'm going to create this piece of crap. And we're just going to continue to load it up with piles and piles and piles of crap until we have something that steams. But most people go into a movie, into a production thinking, this is going to be the next greatest movie. And
it's very true.
Yeah.
There's no rhyme or reason to any of that either. You're like, you don't know why some turds catch on and some brilliant pieces of art are never seen. It's like the balance isn't tipped right, I think, in that aspect.
No,
for sure.
So I do have a question. Has anybody ever been part of either a horror movie? Have you ever been invited either in character, out of character, to be part of a movie, whether it's a full-length movie, a short, a horror, a comedy? Have you ever been part of anything?
No.
Not a
no,
movie.
but I would die.
Definitely a movie.
That would be a blast, but no, I haven't.
No.
I would love to.
Actually, I have a question for Sawyer. What is the worst, absolute worst horror film you've ever seen? Like, what your 2 hours back sort of worst?
Oh, geez. The Human Centipede?
Oh, God.
I can't.
Yeah.
I cursed my ex-husband for making me watch that because I just want to forget that it ever happened.
If ever a movie required brain,
I've never heard of it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yes.
No.
There is not enough Visine to wash that from my eyeballs. That is one of the, there are movies that you watch and the imagery just sticks with you forever and someone just has to mention it. And Human Centipede is one of those movies.
Yeah.
Martyrs is another one.
Oh gosh.
And
that's horrible.
And then
I haven't watched that one and I don't think I can.
It's traumatizing. It's traumatizing.
It is extremely, and it doesn't end up exactly where you think it would be. It starts off as a totally different, almost genre, and then transitions into a severe body horror torture porn.
See, I can't.
Torture porn. I have not.
I can't.
I can't do those like Hostel and all those sorts of films. I don't like the torture porn. It just doesn't do anything for me in particular. It makes me want to turn it off. I mean, just body horror in general and medical horror in general, I can't. It's just, I prefer spooky things. I prefer supernatural. I like psychological horror. I like something that's going to creep you out, and make you think about things.
I like that too.
But gore can be fun. It depends upon the gore, But no, if it's just torture porn, not my thing.
So it's
Edward is a prime example of famous turds. But
followed by another.
It is such fun, though. Anything that's got a Bela Lugosi in it, and Vampira, how can you not love that? I mean,
I know.
That's just delightful.
My little saw Plan 9 from Outer Space and thought it was the best thing ever. There's something about a young person watching that movie, and you just have to preface it going, this is nothing like what you've seen. There's going to be rubber aliens, and there's going to be weird shots, and oh my gosh,
there's daylight here, and then it's nighttime, and it's
I love it when Tord knocks into the sets and makes the walls bounce and such. Oh, it's delightful. Yes. Love it.
Tabitha, yes, Shutter Island. I love that movie so much.
That is a good one. I like that one quite a lot.
That's fantastic.
Okay.
Stop.
You want me?
Somebody read. It's like
I'll read it.
I'll read it.
I got the fact that there were 3 of those movies just proves that someone besides me would like Human Centipede. can't confirm or deny ever watching it. I've never heard of it at all, so I don't know.
Those are awful movies. I think
no.
I had it on like an iPad or something, and I scrubbed through it, and the entire time I went, huh, 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 and I could not watch the entire movie.
So
That's I just
we need to.
Mm-mm.
We could put a top 10 list after this when we post it of things not to watch, and hopefully people will take your advice. Do not watch
here's
this
the
one,
thing.
this one, this one, this one.
The things not to watch for you and the things not to watch for me might be two totally different things.
That's
don't.
true.
Yeah, I'm not a big horror torture porn type person. I can't stand that stuff. Although, with that in mind, there was a movie that came out a couple of years ago, and I just did a write up of it on Slasher called. Let me think. Let me look.
Getting in your notes down there.
Oh gosh,
or the notes up there floating across your brain.
This one was based on an island, and a man went to go rescue his sister, and it was. I keep on wanting to say 1922, but that was a different movie. I like slow burn movies. I like slow burn, build up, a lot of WTF moments. I'm just gonna. Thank you, Eli.
Thinking and thinking.
And the time, Sawyer, do you have a particular genre that you like better than others when it comes to horror films?
Well, I enjoy vampire movies. They're probably up there, but psychological vampires and oh my gosh. Those are probably like my big tops, and then anything from the Phantasm, like 5 movies. Phantasm, I just love it so much because I'm like, I don't know what's going on. Is this his like dreams? Is this real? Like, what is this? So I feel like that's like it kind of marries the slasher psychological pretty well, and the Tall Man is the most underrated like film villain ever. I just love Angus in general.
Is the Tall Man based off of Slender Man?
No.
Or is it
I don't
totally
think so.
Way
Okay.
before. Far
yeah.
before. Actually, honestly, when it comes to Phantasm, oddly enough, that was one of the first
that's an older
horror films that I ever saw as a child. I was a wee lass at the time. I didn't know what I was getting into when I saw it. But I had a friend who actually worked in radio, and they did radio plays. She's an older lady, and on top of that, her son also worked in television, and they had video cassettes at the time, and he had tons and tons of horror. And I used to sneak and watch all of these things when they first came out on VHS, before they were something that you could get, in any video store. And of all the things for me to watch first was Phantasm. Oh, Christ, I loved it, but it was just horrifying. I'm sure I had nightmares, but I wanted to watch it again and again. And it was that horrifying sphere with the knives and things, and the Tall Man was just delightful.
Oh, I know.
It was so archaic in a way, and just a perfect, beautiful villain. It was the sort of thing that just made you think, because you're never sure exactly what was going on with it. It's wonderful. Love it.
I love it. And like, well, I haven't watched 5 yet. My husband is like, it's not so like good, whatever. But I'm like, what? No, I mean, I'm sure that it's just as perfect as like everything else that they've done.
So, by the way, Toy Robot Visual Arts, which is the Geek Gumshoe, did comment that the show that the movie I was referencing was Apostle. If you have not seen this, it is a great movie. It is a true slow burn, and it has some very horrific effects, especially the grinder. And that was one that it's one of those movies that there's scenes in it that stuck with you a little bit longer than they should have, and you're just like, I don't want ground beef. No, mommy, we're not eating hamburgers.
Oh, another thought that I had. What about this applies to all of you ladies? Is there a horror movie that actually, honest to God, scared you? Like left you with an impression to the point where you felt uneasy when you're done watching it?
In the Mouth of Madness when I was
Oh,
younger.
that's a
That
good
one
one.
just made me feel high.
Yeah,
I
Have you ever
druggy? Wanna...
felt like
Wait a minute,
looking
have you ever
over
had
my
this?
shoulder.
Is that just a me movie? Is that just a me thing where you walk out of a film and you just feel high for like the
Mm,
next couple of hours? It's just
mm,
like, oh, I don't, I felt stoned the entire time.
Are you sure
adrenaline.
somebody wasn't doing something beside you? Where you
I was with the geek gumshoe. I was as safe as they come. There's a handful of movies out there that
somebody
actually
put something in your drink and
no, there are a handful of movies out there that leave me with the sensation of being high. That was one of them. The Doors, the one with Val Kilmer, that left me
Well,
feeling high.
that's a
I
druggy
think that's
movie.
supposed
So
to make
well,
you
I
feel
was going
high.
to say there's probably
Christian
your
Morrison.
brain's going to different places it doesn't normally
That man
go.
took so
I
many
agree with
drugs
this.
that I'm sure
Right.
that you can get a contact high just from watching a movie about the man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So Sawyer,
Toy
what about
Robot
you?
jumped on here and said Event Horizon was horrifying. That film
See,
messed with my
no,
head afterwards.
exactly the movie that came to mind for me was Event
Oh.
Horizon. I don't know why, but that movie just set me off. It was the sort of thing that just creeped me out to the point I don't have words for it. I don't think I've watched it more than 3 or 4 times because it just it's a Sam Neill with the eyes gouged out and no, just no. But Sawyer,
Yeah.
what about you? Do you have one that just
So
creeped you out?
the one, okay, so do y'all remember they did the like Master of Horrors like on Showtime? So there was one that actually didn't get shown until it came out on DVD because they just felt like it was too much for Showtime, and it's called Imprint. It's by Takashi Mike.
Yes.
And my husband and I watched that. I was pregnant at the time. And so the imagery of like the abortions and like just all of the
Just wait.
baby stuff in it
Mm.
stuck with me. And I had nightmares upon nightmares like my whole pregnancy about that movie.
Well, honestly, and that could be a timing issue. I remember watching Train Spotting while I was pregnant and had an absolute meltdown over the scene with the babies or with the scene with the dead baby dancing on the ceiling. I mean, I had a meltdown. I mean, absolute. So yeah, I can understand as a perspective or a new mother looking at that where that would be very, very disturbing.
Well, and a couple weeks ago, I rewatched it, and there's also like a scene where they're like having these like wooden toothpick situations, and they're like burying it and like under one of the girl's fingernails, and I was like, I can't watch this. I felt like some of the same feelings like all over again of just, it still sticks with me pretty hard.
Okay, so I'm going to share, and you cannot laugh at me at this one because this one stuck with me, and I think a lot of it is the nature of the house that I live in. So, I watched something a while back. It was a documentary about Shadow Man, and it was all of these, and it really. I'm sorry. Wait a minute. Go ahead. What?
No, I saw it. No, go ahead.
Okay, so I remember sitting down and watching this movie or this documentary, and it was very hokey. There wasn't a whole lot to it, but the situation is we have a Slender Man, or not Slender Man, a Shadow Man experience with my oldest child. That to this day, the story of what happened has never faltered, and that's a show to itself. It is a creepy, creepy experience. So my husband showed me this video and said, hey, you might want to watch this. I think he might have been kidding, but I watched it anyway. And it was very disturbing for someone like me who's had a child who claims to have had an interaction with a shadow man. And I, at the time, for some reason, I think because of an illness, was sleeping in my sewing room, which those of you who have a sewing room, it's not unusual to have heads with like masks on them and wigs on them and hats on them. I had all of it. So every time I'd look up, I would see Slender Man, or not Slender Man, but Shadow Man standing in the corner. And I'm like, please don't move. Please don't move. Please don't move. Please don't move. I'm like hiding under my blanket.
Yeah, because
I'm
you
like,
would have dress forms and stuff that has a human figure already
Yes.
in place
Oh,
in a
yes.
room.
Do not
Sure.
ever sleep in a sewing room. That is the worst idea ever. Because every
That's where I like to
horror
put my
movie-
guests. Like, y'all
Here, y'all
Okay,
go.
so note to
also,
self:
actually.
don't stay at her house. Okay.
I'm just kidding. I don't have a sewing room. I don't sew. I'll like hand stitch something, but I don't. Yeah.
Mirror Shadow Man
Shadow
are
Man
the
are the
worst.
worst.
Oh my gosh.
What's a mirror Shadow Man? There's
Mirror?
Shadow Man in the
In
mirror.
the
What is a
mirror
mirror
behind
Shadow
you,
Man?
like I guess something you see in the mirror, but you don't see in real life. I'm guessing.
Sort of a
We need some
Bloody
clarity on
Mary sort
this.
of thing.
Lauren, we're going to
Possibly.
need to know what a Mirror Shadow Man is
We'll
because
chat about that later and find out exactly what that is.
Yeah.
you know what? We might need to have a show just on Shadow Men because my daughter has my oldest child has an experience with Shadow Man, and it's creepy. It is beyond
Sure.
creepy.
It would be creepy walking into something that's not there, but it is. Yeah.
Well, it's not just walking. She had a conversation with it.
Oh,
And
no.
that was even more disturbing. Yeah, that was even more disturbing. But we won't fall off on that tangent. but
Okay.
yeah.
We need to get to hosting and hosts. We
All right.
have a host as a guest, Miss
I know
Sawyer.
we do.
And
We
I
do.
don't know anything about your show. I've never seen it, or we need to know how we can access it and what kind of are you doing, like features, that type of thing.
Well, so we at first it was just kind of like whatever I felt like watching that week. Because I mean, let's be honest, I probably watch a horror movie a night, and then I like cleanse my palate with something like Married with Children or like a game show or something, just so like my head's not filled with crazy things while I sleep. But this month we've done New Beginnings or movies featuring babies, kind of like lumped that all together. And for February, we're doing, this is my husband's idea and I love it. We're doing I Was Made for Loving You, and it's all different Frankenstein movies. And I think
I'm hearing like a
do
Kiss song in my head right now. Go ahead.
Yes,
I know.
yes.
I was made. for loving you.
I'm sorry.
No,
But,
I'm surrounded by Kiss fanatics, and when I go to band practice on Tuesday, so I get it.
Listen, I am too. Not only does my husband love them, but he has now turned the children onto it as well. And I'm just like, I mean, they've got a couple of songs, but some of the lyrics are not like very good. The music's fine. The lyrics,
okay.
on the other hand, not so good.
I mean, they
learn
can sing
eventually.
Love Gun. It's fine.
They'll learn eventually.
Or Shandy, you know, it's oh my gosh, it's ridiculous. But
So
yeah,
we're
I'm on
hosting a
YouTube.
theme. Okay, cool. I love YouTube.
Stop, Eli.
Yeah.
Somebody please stop.
My
Eli.
nerd land.
Eli, ridiculous. But yeah, no, I'm trying to find like a lot more like women Frankenstein movies, because I know there's one that's like Lady Frankenstein, and then
Frankenhooker.
Mary Shelley,
well,
Frankenstein,
yes.
and
The Bride.
Yeah, and then
is that about a swing?
Hammer has one in their Frankenstein stuff that's like Frankenstein and the Women or something of that nature. So I'm like,
bad, I love
ooh, what is that?
there's cartoons. You got Frankenweenie cartoon. It's
Oh,
really
but I love
cute.
Frankenweenie. That's precious.
I
So good.
I showed my son's 5, and I showed him Frankenweenie, and he absolutely loved it. He's like totally in love with it.
My wee
like,
one's
"Oh,
absolute
sweet."
favorite one has got to be Vincent Malloy. If you can find that, it's so precious. It's adorable. You need to find Vincent Malloy. It's so
Vincent
cute.
Malloy.
I
Vincent
gotta
Malloy.
find that.
It's precious. It's a poem by Tim Burton that is narrated by Vincent Price. It's precious.
Aw.
Well, I mean, Vincent Price is amazing, and
Yes,
my
adorable.
son knows who Vincent Price is from us watching Scooby-Doo over and over and over again.
No, Lauren says the Frankenstein storyline of Penny Dreadful is so good. So good. No, she's 1,000% right. It is lovely. It's amazing. It's much closer to the actual book. If you've read Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, the actual book is so different from most of the movies that they make because it's more psychological. It's an awakening. It's a coming to life and discovering what the world is like. And it's so sad and just it's heartrending. So I love all of the Penny Dreadful. There's a brilliant series. I was so cross when they stopped it. I thought this is perfect. They should keep going with it. But then again, I'll watch just about anything with.
I don't know how kid friendly I'd say that one is, though.
No.
Oh, 90% of the stuff that I watch, I can't wait. I have to wait until the child goes to sleep. So.
I know exactly how it is. I have 2 wee ones, and we've got so many things that I'll watch. My son discovered recently that I was a gamer, that I love gaming. He said, "Oh, that's wonderful. I want to see a game, Mom." No.
No.
No. Not the games that your mom plays. Not for you, little wee lad. No.
Not quite.
Actually,
yet.
You were talking about Vincent Price, and Vincent Price actually, even Edward Scissorhands was a wonderful rendition of Frankenstein.
Now that is child friendly, in my opinion.
It is.
My daughter, my 10-year-old, my daughter Lily, and she loves it. It's one of her favorites of all time.
I think that's going to be a next one. We introduced him to Gremlins, and so loves that.
It's a fun one.
I
recently went back and watched Gremlins and didn't realize just how intense that movie was because I remember watching it as a child. Yeah. So I go back and watch it as an adult, and I thought, oh God. But my children love it.
We were like, oh, I don't know. Like, he's probably going to want us to like turn this off. So we introduced him to it by like the second one. Because, the second one is a lot more like
cutesy.
Yeah. Like it's so fun and like tongue in cheek and stuff. And then I was like, okay, well, we'll try the first one. And it's fine. He's like, Mom, that's whatever. I love it. And I was like, oh, okay.
Well, the first one was actually, it was very tongue-in-cheek, but it was also very, if you think about the whole concept of Daddy crawling down the chimney and being stuck in the chimney. It was horrible, but it was extremely tongue-in-cheek as well. And the fact that she
had a lot of issues.
Oh my gosh, did she have issues?
Because even in the second one, she was like Abraham Lincoln or something about President's Day. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, what kind of childhood did you have? Do you need a therapist?
I'm like, I'm not good with Christmas or Halloween or Valentine's Day or President's
Day. Every holiday, there's some kind of issue. Come on, man. Jeez. Get your head checked out or something, man.
There's
a lot to work through. You have a lot to work through.
Gremlins is a gateway for a film. You know what? Gremlins is a good starting point for children.
It's a Christmas film.
Oh, yeah. If you have a child that you think might be a creepy child and you want to get them started on something to find out truly if they are a creepy child, because some kids
if they're a creepy child.
Well, some kids
act like it's okay, and then some are like, no.
My oldest child, she wanted to be a creepy child, but if you showed her something scary, she would hide in a corner. So no, yeah. My youngest child, on the other hand, was a creepy child from the word go. But honestly, what we did is we just went down the list of anything that was PG-13 and started there. And there was a lot of really scary movies in that PG-13 list.
For sure.
Yeah, because PG-13 has changed so much from like the years of like from what it was like back when it first started PG-13 to now, and I'm like,
somebody's crying at us.
Okay,
who sent us a sad emoji? We're not sad. I'm serious. I've never seen the sad emoji. I've gotten.
I haven't either. I have a question for you, Sawyer. If you were to describe kind of like your style of hostessing, who would you say were like your muses to get started?
Well, I have been a big fan of Vampira for many, many years. And I've watched so much Elvira as well. So I mean they're up there in who I've kind of modeled some of my stuff after. But I mess up on so many things. Like I can't pronounce anything at all.
okay.
So, I just I'm very self-deprecating. I have a lot of self-deprecating like humor. But yeah, I just kind of like have modeled myself off of them and then just add in my own little quirks that I have.
Gotcha. Well, we think comedy, like I truly believe comedy makes the host too when it comes to horror. I think there has to be kind of that crossover from comedy into it, because I mean, come on, how serious can people really take themselves, especially if you're, an entertainer? I know some people are just very like, oh, I'm the best, but I think it's great when people have fun and they make it fun. It just, it makes it humanizes somebody too, because a lot of people put on like the face, the facade, and all different, elements to bring in their look. But I mean, there's under there is a person, there is a real, human being, and it's a breath of fresh air, I think, for everybody watching to kind of see that, there is a normal, breathing, messing up names and, title kind of human being in there. Just
and the best is like, because I do like a lot of Italian horror films too, and they've got names that I'm like, you know what, all right, hang on guys, it's gonna be a ride to get through some of these names, so just bear with me and we'll get through it.
That would be fun for people like us who are very Southern, like, hold on a second, let me get the translator and
right. Like, no, there have
here, DL, you butcher it first and then give it to me. Yeah, that would be a lot of fun.
And like we're watching, as like I'm watching it, I'm going, oh, nope. I hope that's not a main character, because I'm not going to be able to pronounce that.
As it is.
A lot of times.
No, actually, we get you, because in all honesty, I think a lot of times you see horror host and horror hostess, and they are a lot of times the comedy entertainment in between, because horror can become very overbearing and can become heavy. Yeah, very much so. So sometimes having somebody, I mean, if you even go back and look at Elvira and look at Vampira, they whereas Elvira was obviously very tongue-in-cheek, Vampira was not as extreme, but she did have her comedic moments about her. So
well, they were different eras too, so
right,
you have to look at that too. Elvira rose up in the 80s, and
which we all know was like tongue-in-cheek heaven.
Oh yeah, you could get away with just
kitschy heaven.
Oh yes, and when you look at somebody like Vampira was in, what was she, the 1950s, 1960s?
I would say 50s. Yeah,
I know she was closely associated and even dated Elvis Presley, so I'm kind of putting her in that time frame. But yeah, you had to be a little more careful about what you could say and what you could do, and
it's and being female too. Like when you were a female entertainer, I'm pretty sure that they'd yank you out of your spot if you stepped out of line too far, because you hear of just comedians and stuff they've pulled, just it's like the world fell off the map when somebody who spoke out of line or anything like that trying to be funny. But if a guy would do it, you could just shrug it off, and next week it'll be fine.
Well, something that not a lot of people realize is that Vampira actually had a counterpart at one point that was played by Gloria Paul, and her name was Voluptua. And I think she maybe aired like 3 or 4 episodes before they pulled her from the air, saying that she was too sexy. And basically the idea,
of course,
basically the idea was Vampira was supposed to be the horror aspect of it, and Voluptua was supposed to be the
visual, probably.
I don't know that even so much that I would say she was visual, because both of them had definite visual perks to them. I don't think we've ever seen anybody that has a look quite like Vampira since Vampira.
No.
But
No.
I just think it was very interesting that there was a character, and a lot of people don't know that she existed. I mean, she was that short lived, but um, she was pulled for being. Yes, Lauren, you need to Google her. Google her now. I am so in love with this woman, but she was pulled for basically being too sexy. So um, I actually have a concept for a show that's not horror related. And my character, I was a little, it kind of leans between somewhere between your traditional Elvira type character, but it also pulls a lot from Voluptua and the little bit we know about her. So now we grew up in
Please do
Memphis.
it. Yes.
Oh gosh, yeah. Location. That's the big thing. If I could find the right set,
We're like 20 years behind the times if you live on either of the coasts, but we're all right. We think we're
kidding. Now, we grew up in Memphis, and one of the biggest names in horror host was Savad. We grew up on Savad. We knew who he was, and go cat, go.
Yes. That was the Memphis. He was our, I guess, premier horror host, but he had a decade-long run from 1962 to 1972, and there's still a few little snippets if you Google him on YouTube where you can see the fabulous intro that he had with the horse-drawn carriage and the hearse. It was a horse-drawn hearse, I'm sorry. And it went through, and then he pulls the casket out, and there's lots of smoke. And I was actually talking to my parents about this earlier today because that was what they watched. Because back when he was a host, there was only 3 channels in Memphis at the time. Cable TV hadn't come about yet. So, but he filmed it in Overton Park, surprisingly, which is kind of cool, because it's still, you can still see the backdrop. Like, yeah, it makes sense. It looks the same and everything there. But he wanted to create his name, Savad, as a one name kind of wonder, like Harry Houdini. So it took him a minute, I guess, to work with it before he flipped his name around backwards from Davis to Savad. So very neat stuff right there. But it's I don't think there's any there's not much video of his show that's left. I think they recorded over it each week so it didn't get saved, very sadly. And he worked on Highland Street, and that was WHBQ Channel 13. And one of my friends, she's Dave Brown's daughter, she was telling me that they all shared the same TV studio and space where he would have his little bands called the Highland Duo would come in to set up. And I guess as he was leaving, they were always crossing paths in the hallway. So kind of you see your weatherman, very professional, walking out, and you've got Savad and his crew coming in behind him to set up for the fantastic features on Saturday night. And just kind of watching over some of the stuff. There he is. Yay. Yes. So just watching some of the stuff that he did. They took the music from the beginning from a 1950 science fiction film called Destination Moon, which is kind of a fun fact. But he brought in such a crowd. If he would go for a appearance, let's say at the Mid-South Fair. I know if you live in Memphis, everybody went to the Mid-South Fair. So, I mean, at one point he brought in 30,000 kids to come to see him. I mean, that all in itself, you think of that is for Memphis, that's huge. I mean, it's absolutely, it is. That's a lot. That's a lot of people to show up to come see him live, just to, see him presenting or sign autographs just for, a public appearance. But I think it kind of started where he worked at the Malco Cinema downtown, which is now the Orpheum. And He was, I don't know if he was like the director or something over marketing. He did marketing, I think, for the Malco movie theater. And so that's kind of what got him his start. And I think the movie, not the movie, but the TV studio WHBQ had all these movies because the only way to present movies, I think back in the 50s and 60s, this whole movement of horror hosting was coming about, and they needed a vehicle to present it out to people. So they would have all these movies. They were science fiction, they were horror, and you know, the mother of all creation is necessity. So hence he created this character, Savad. So it's kind of a neat little Memphis history. And it was before my time, unfortunately. I've never gotten to, I've gotten to just see little snippets of things people have collected here and there. And of course, hearing all the stories from my parents, because they would watch it every Saturday night. So there was about 10 years ago, maybe a little more, there's a Memphis person who I would say he's kind of like I would say he's more like a historian. He's kind of does a lot of good works in our city. He's brought like the Johnny Cash statue into fruition. Mike McCarthy. Yes. So he put on, because I think he worked for Malco along with somebody else, put on this Savads of March presentation at the Brooks Theater, which is, right there where he filmed the intro for the Savad show. And my mother drugged me to this. She was like, I have to go. Like, we're going. I was like, all right, let's do this. And it was just so neat seeing all these people, because horror crosses all the lines of, female, male, black, white, just religion. It doesn't matter. Like, everybody in all walks of life came together to come see all this. And it's just looking around when you're in the theater watching it, you're like, man, this is Memphis right here, man. This is it. And it just, I don't know. It was a really kind of a magical thing where they were showing off his makeup kit, and they had a lot of his, I want to say his costume was there, but they had a lot of his artifacts and stuff, and they were showing it, and they had panels where people were talking about just things that happened during filmings and things like that. And it was really, really a neat thing. And as him putting up statues of people, I think Savad needs to go, at least in a Malco or something. There needs to be a Savad statue somewhere in this city. I think it should happen. So that's just me.
So some interesting things that you brought up. Bear with me. I'm not even in our chat. Is that bad? Hang on 1 second. Let me get back to where we are. I was like pulling stuff and trying to find some pictures. So Mike McCarthy and I have a bit of a history. When he did the Johnny Cash commemorative statue downtown, there was a play that went alongside it. And because not a lot of people realize, but Johnny Cash and the Texas Twosome or Texas Trio, their original performance was at the church.
Was it Galloway Church? Yeah.
In Galloway Church, yes. Mm-hmm. And so
it was on Cooper, yeah.
I actually was one of the church ladies in that production. And it was
neat.
It's been many, many years ago, but it was in association with getting that statue erected. And truthfully, I really wanted to contact Mike McCarthy to see if he would join us, but I was figuring that our other host that didn't show up, the Bone Jangler, might kind of be a little bit too much, and I'm really kind of regretting that I didn't bring Mike McCarthy in, because he is a
we can make another show.
Yeah, he is a wealth of information about Savad and about everything to do with like horror hosts.
Just Memphis too in general. Just Memphis history and saving, when he was trying to save the Mid-South just those places that are like we've all been to and grew up going to. Absolutely.
I want to cry every time I think about the Memphis, the Coliseum Coalition.
Mid-South Coliseum.
Yeah. There was a group here called the Mid-South Coliseum Coalition that was designed for trying to get the in case you're not familiar, the Mid-South Coliseum was the go-to venue for events, specifically for concerts in the 1980s. If you were a
way
huge,
back when.
oh my gosh, if you were a band, you stopped at Memphis. Every major act stopped at Memphis and they played at the Coliseum. I
Yes.
cannot tell you how many bands I saw.
Elvis has played at the Coliseum. My parents saw Elvis at the Coliseum.
My mother saw Elvis at his last concert at the Coliseum.
That's my parents were there.
Oh
they
my
were probably
gosh.
sitting together.
And now when you think about the condition of the Coliseum and just
It's
how
just
rundown
sad.
it is, it's sad.
sad.
It really is.
It's really sad. They should never have let that go. They shouldn't have, because it was still a wonderful place. I mean, just as a kid, you would go to the circus there. I mean, that's where all the events would come through town. So yeah, absolutely.
I'm sorry, my heart is bleeding a little bit at this
point.
I'm
so sorry. I didn't.
But if you had been in it since then, you would realize how bad of shape it is.
I'm sure.
And it's really, really sad. But I wanted to go ahead. I have a picture of Voluptua.
Oh, so yes.
This is Gloria Paul as Voluptua. And she was basically the vampira for love stories, and she got ripped off the air really quick. Now we had another horror host on our show a couple of months back, and I don't think we can let the evening go by without mentioning Dr. Ghoul.
Oh yeah,
it's delightful. Yes. Utterly
That's
delightful.
another Memphis personality.
Yes. He is another Memphis icon. My youngest child was absolutely in love with him, and it was so funny. She went to her third grade. She started her third grade class, and they were wanting to know, what'd you do over the summer? And she drew a picture of Shotzi and sent it to them. And they showed it on the 10 o'clock or on their show.
On the show.
So sweet.
I bet it made her month right there. She was like, Mom, look, check me out. Here I am.
Not only did they recognize it, but they sent her a care package afterwards that had some items. I know. It had items that were worn on set. It had buttons and t-shirts. She still sleeps in the t-shirt. It is so freaking cute.
You almost want to take it away from her and frame it, so she'll have it in her later years.
There's chocolate on it. There's all kinds of mess in it. I'm like, you can keep this forever, but just please know where this came from.
So that's really special.
Guys, I really hate to say this. We're at the top of the hour.
Uh-oh. Time flies when we're having fun.
Yeah. It did. Oh my God, this went by so fast. I was not expecting it to go anywhere near as fast as it did. Okay, so Sawyer, one more quick question. Mm-hmm. If Elvira is the queen of Halloween, you would be the queen of what?
Oh, the queen of what? So, okay.
We're all thinking boobs, but go ahead.
Oh, well, I mean, hey. But no, so Halloween is definitely Halloween horror, definitely up there on my thing. But so a thing that is also near and dear to my heart is Christmas, because me and my husband got married on Christmas Eve. My husband's goal is to eventually become a Santa, and I was like, I will totally be your Mrs. Claus. Totally.
You should.
We will own that. We will own that. I will own that holiday all day long with my Santa.
Okay. Says legend has it something. Okay, it went by fast. Legend has it Elvis has books on the occult in his library. Elvis Presley, Arch Magus versus Rock. I'm lost in this. I think Elvis was a very religious person from what I gather, and all the people who were around him. So I don't know how truthful that is.
So sometime in the near future, when we are doing a episode that really leans towards Elvis, I probably need to share this story. But my aunt went on a date with Elvis that she didn't she didn't realize it was a date.
Oh.
What did she think it was going to be?
She thought it was dinner with friends, and the next thing you know, she's on a date with Elvis.
Well, that's a nice surprise. I hate it when I was supposed to go on dinner with friends and end up on a date with Elvis.
But to quote, she said he was weird, and she did marry a nice man, and yeah, they're still married to this day. So. I don't know.
It probably depends on when she probably dated him. Like,
yeah,
pre-drug, you know, like there's probably some gray areas in his life where he was probably not of sound mind. So,
oh, I would definitely think so. I would definitely
absolutely
think so.
For sure.
So I want to go ahead and throw this up here. We actually have some upcoming shows, and we're going to advertise for our upcoming shows early because we usually just kind of spring these on people at the absolute very last minute, ourselves included. So on the 13th, we have Love Stinks. Yeah. This is going to be our Valentine's Day episode. So if you have a story about a sucky Valentine's Day, you can share it here. This is one that's going to hit very close to a lot of us. My name is Talkie Tina. Evidently,
Tina.
I know you know
that name is so funny. I've never heard of a doll called Talkie Tina, but that is fine.
She's on the Twilight Zone. Hi, my name is Talkie Tina, and I don't like you. Hi, my name is Talkie Tina, and I think I'm going to kill you. Yeah, okay, so you have to go watch it, but Talkie Tina is going to be our episode about creepy dolls. And I think not only do we have creepy dolls, but we have some people that might be some experts on creepy dolls.
So many creepy dolls.
We're gonna go on we're going on a shopping spree before then. We're gonna be like, okay, hang on, it's a challenge. How many creepy dolls can we bring in for the show?
Everybody thinks of Annabelle, but not everybody thinks that there is a doll in my house that's wrapped up and boxed up and put away so nobody can see it. And that's a true story. I have a doll in my house that I was begged to buy, and we bought the doll, and now I understand why. Okay,
it blinks by itself, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. And see, and that's on February the 27th, and on March the 13th, we're going to do When in Doubt, Wear Black, and this is going to be our show all about goth styling, and then we do have. On the 27th, dark staircases and haunted people living and working in haunted houses. We have a lot of people that have haunted, basically have lived in a haunted house, have worked in a haunted place, and I'm thinking that's going to be a whole lot of fun.
Yes, that one will be good.
I can't wait for that one.
Probably not as fun as Talkie Tina.
My name is Talkie Tina, and I'm going to kill you.
Oh my goodness!
I can't. You've never seen that episode?
No,
of Twilight Zone. You have to
I'm gonna watch it. I will.
I'm gonna have to look that up for sure.
It's delightful.
Okay, so there's a couple of Twilight Zone episodes. Anything with Marlena, that is the Catwoman. I think there's there's 2 episodes of Marlena. One at a I'm drawing a blank. One at a circus, and then one somewhere else. I can't remember where it is, but she is fabulous. But Talkie Tina is pretty much hands down everybody's favorite. So watch it. You have to go watch it. Yay!
That'll give our viewers something fun to look forward to for the next month or lineup.
Okay, so if you like what you saw and you would love to share with, you can buy us a coffee, you can, contribute to our program. Oh, and by the way, please notice my shirt.
I love that
Hold
shirt.
on, you need to stand up.
Nice. I like it.
Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers. This came from... Everybody needs a Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers shirt, don't they? This came from cottoncoffin.com, and if you use our little logo, our little promo code, which I'll link below, you can get 10% off. So yeah, please support our program through buying products, because you never know what you'll find there. But I'll link it below so you can find it. And until next time, pleasant screams.
Night loves.
Bye.